Realm of Russ just hit a 20 stream watch streak. That's impressive dedication.
Hello, hello, hello. Are we working? My hands are working. We are live. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Wow, there's a lot of firsts in tonight. One random trooper. Welcome, welcome. Yes, I do stream on both YouTube and Twitch, and usually I start on Twitch a little bit before the YouTube one. And sort of the interactions tend to be a bit better on Twitch, but either is fine. Hopefully people can hear me. Futureproof 4, welcome back. Russ, 20 streak. That is amazing. That is impressive, as Ada said, although she says the same thing if you do a 3 streaks. So yeah, I need to put some granularity in the streak alert to maybe be a bit more impressive or a bit less impressive for the lower numbers. So have I missed anyone? Hibiki Ryuga, where are you if you're not in Perth? Hibiki Ryuga, Azurin, of course, is my backup. We are back in Satisfactory in VR. There's a lot of chat swinging by, and I have a lot of buttons to press to actually go live, so I might have missed something. I'm amazed and confused this mod is made as a hobby. Thank you. I would imagine it's a massive undertaking, or is the game designed in a VR-friendly way? It was a massive undertaking. It took me about 18 months to reach the 1.0 milestone, and I'd never done any game modding before, so I had started from scratch. But I've been playing Satisfactory for years, and even before I thought this game would be fantastic in VR. And so at the start of 2024, Praydog released the UEVR tool, which allows the VR mode of Unreal games to happen. And that was the hard bit. That's the bit I didn't know how to do. So using his tool, I was then able to make a mod for the game that then added all the hands and the hint icons and the menus and the controls and first-person vehicles and all that jazz. So it's been a great journey from about two-ish years now, and I have just released version 1.0.3 has just come out earlier today. So if those people weren't on the alpha, yay, trains! We now have the new build mode HUD available for everybody, which will hopefully make understanding the buttons while building and what's going on a little bit more intuitive for people, both new and old. I mean, I've been playing this game a lot, and I still get confused. Oh, turbo motors, George, awesome. I still get confused sometimes about the state I'm in, so stabilization should now be on. I need to go into a screen and then back out for it to kick in. So yes, I was a bit reluctant to add more HUD elements because I very much like a clean screen when I'm playing VR, but the new build HUD is proving useful even for veterans like me. But if you are a HUD purist, you can turn the new build HUD off. Get out of the pool! Give me your stuff! He's swimming backwards. Come on, this way, come on! You can go into the options and turn the new interface off. Timmy's got Alclad aluminium sheets. Good one, Timmy. Yes, I did write my own programming language back in the day. That was a couple of decades ago now. Cold Fusion sucked, so I wrote my own better version. It is a good time, Random Trooper. Thank you for giving it a go. Now, people who watched the last stream might have been wondering, or I have a recycling station upstairs that turns things into better things, and my output of my recycling station has been flooded with biomass, and I finally figured out why. It's because some time ago I put summer sloops in the biomass machines, and so the alien protein recipe was actually producing 3,000 biomass a minute when I put alien bits in there. Haven't tried it, just found out this is a possibility. Yes, it is possible. Good, give it a go. You found the mod page already, I think. Did you say Random Trooper? If YouTube does have the links to the mod as well. Otherwise, you can do !, mod info in Twitch, and it'll give you a link to the mod. So yes, my recycling station is still choked hard on biomass, and I'm trying to slowly turn it into solid biofuel and then into liquid biofuel. But I still have a massive backlog of biomass that is choking up my whole recycle center. So I've got all this, I should just delete it, but part of me is like, no, aliens died to turn into that biomass, I should make use of it. Do you play this with your son and we both do VR from before? I assume it will be us. Cool, cool. If there are a lot of controls, there is a link to the wiki that does explain the controls. Also, the interactive menus actually have control hints as well. So this one says you can press Y to holster, click the right stick for sample. And there's also hints on the back of the hands that will actually change based on context to tell you which buttons do which. So there are helpful tips there. And if you go through the onboarding again, there's kind of a little tutorial that walks you through the VR controls instead of the normal flat controls. So that is a good way of learning about the VR version. Yes, I've tried to make it easy, but I've found that people don't look at their hands and they don't look at these menus. So they go, when I press this button, why did this happen? Trying to make it as intuitive and least invasive or get in the way of things. So it has been honed and tweaked over the 2 years of development. I have a Quest 3. I'm using Virtual Desktop, and if you do have a Quest device, then Virtual Desktop with VDXR will give you the best results. Let me just put some stuff in here. I think that'll do for now. Yes, Quest 3, Virtual Desktop. I've recently bought a 5080 graphics card. It is quite intensive. It does need a good graphics card. I developed the mod most of the time on a 2080, so it is possible to run on a less card. And 3080, I got a second-hand 3080, which was a bit of a boost. But the 5080 lets me turn on a lot of bells and whistles on the game. So the game capture for the stream is actually off the PC screen view, not the headset directly. Capturing from the Quest 3, I think, wouldn't give as good a picture. Yes, Russ. I was holding off from a 5080 because I wanted something with more VRAM, and I was hoping they'd do a 5080 Super or 5080 Ti. But with the actually, I don't want to go that way. With the the recent AI making everything insanely expensive and short on stock, I realized graphics cards are just going to get more expensive and they're not going to bring out new models. So now is the time to get a 5080, even if it's not exactly what I wanted. And it's good. I'm pretty happy with it overall. So the last few streams I've been building a train network, and we've been doing this kind of organic windy train system throughout the world. And this session tonight, we're going to start connecting up some of the stations we've built to actually start transporting some of the goods we build at different places. Well, I did buy a Wi-Fi router specifically for VR. You can use, any old router, but I bought a dedicated one, a little, what's it called? GL iNet Opal, I think it is. And that's a little Wi-Fi router that is just for VR that's connected to my PC. So this station here is Pixitco, which is going to be taking the excess supplies from my basics factory here, and we're going to be delivering it to the mall near the space elevator. Yes, I've just unlocked trains. So I've done trains before. This is not my first rodeo, but I've finally unlocked trains in this playthrough, and I get to play with some logistics. So this is the factory storage here. So all the output from the factory does come down into these storage units here. So these are all the different products that this particular factory makes. And behind here there are containers and a dimensional depot. So all of these are available through the dimensional depot. But the factory keeps producing though, and currently that's all going in the sink. But instead of sinking it here, I'm going to transport it by train to a mall that I've been setting up, and there it'll sort so all the products can be in a single place, and from there, if there's any excess from there, it'll be sunk. Well, this is the thing, I'm trying to do different things. Hang on a minute. I just have a phone call I'm going to have to answer, I think. Yep, it's my dad, so I'll be right back. Hang on a sec, I might miss it. Okay, I'm back. I'll give Dad a longer call tomorrow. I did ring him earlier in the day and he didn't answer, so he was just giving me a ring back. Yes, I've never done nuclear. So this whole playthrough is kind of, I've been trying to do things that I haven't done before. So we are building on the east side of the map. So if I go to the map, so this is the grassy fields down here, which is your standard starting zone. And I've done playthroughs going up this coast. I've gone all the way across the north. I've done the desert up here. But I haven't really built much along the east side of the map. I've done a little bit in the Titan Forest before, but not down here. So I'm actually starting at this point here, which is overlooking the blue crater here. So over here, we have the blue crater. And so I've got a steel factory there, my coal power down there, and a plastic and rubber factory there. Some other things I'm planning is like, I'm not doing a double rail system, I'm doing a single rail system, and rather than just following strict foundations, I'm trying to make a more natural terrain following train line. As Aziren mentioned, I've never done nuclear before, and I'm trying to avoid fuel power entirely. So I have not unlocked fuel power yet, even though I could, because every other playthrough I've built massive turbo fuel towers or rocket fuel towers, and it's just easy and OP. So this playthrough, I'm going to try and get all the way to nuclear on coal power, and then I will build a big nuclear power station. So it's in the chat here. The game's a lot of things that added along the way. Yes, all the round builds have hours, I think. I've had a bit of curving in my builds and it takes time. Yes, I am trying to do more curves in my builds as well. So on the blue crater here, I've actually got a circle in the middle there. There's circle centered to the lake. And so all the buildings around the edge are kind of all following the circumference of the circle. And so some of my other builds will also be trying to be a bit more not a box. So this factory here is a bit of a different layout. I've got a courtyard in the middle here, and I'm actually also taking time to do architecture and making walkways so it actually looks like a functional factory, whereas past saves, a lot of my things are, you know, floating platforms, and maybe I'll put a support down if they're lucky. But in general, you know, often things get neglected. Now I need to hijack what's going in the sink here and send it to the train instead, but I still need the sink just in case the train backs up. Oh, thank you. It's well, not a totally different experience, but it is very immersive, and I love building in VR, and it's certainly a lot of stuff you can do, and like the whole experience, the whole world is beautiful in VR. It's an amazing detailed world, and there's so much detail you often miss when it's just a tiny thing on your screen. So actually being in VR really does highlight the detail that they put into the game. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I've lost my muscle memory of keyboard controls now, and the screen is too tiny. So I think I have more hours played in VR now than I have flat, and I had over 1,000 hours played in flat before I started working on the mod. So this is a bit gnarly up here. I think I'm going to move this merger. Actually, I can just attach that to the roof, can't I? Didn't pass through an everything horizontal phase. I have always built vertical, even from the get-go. One of the first things I unlocked was the foundation, the lift holes, these things here. And I've always tried to kind of build within the environment. Try not to be in too much of the way of the environment. Actually, I do want to change build modes. Okay, I can just attach it to the wall there, that's easy. Spaces like this are a little pokey to move around in VR, but visual-wise, it's not too bad. Although splitters and mergers are huge. You wouldn't believe how huge they are. You don't really notice it on a screen. So that is the input. Now we still want the overflow here to go into the sink, but we are going to send everything that we can to the train. They are, well, these are 2 meters tall, these are. Like, if you see my head, I'm about 1.6 meters, I think, in games, so they are bigger than you. And they are in the normal game as well. But yeah, everything is huge. I think I missed a comment earlier back there. No, it's too late for an intervention, Hibiki. Too late by far. Okay. At least I've kind of slowed down a bit on the modding work. I'm not spending quite so much time dedicated to it, which some people might see as a negative. And there are some big features I'd still like to add, but not yet. Straight mode, there we go. I think, oh, this will actually have to drop down a bit because we need to get under that lift. So, VR streamers are terrible influencers out here trying to corrupt us into videos. Hey Russ, you missed last night. Mike. Mike is getting Satisfactory, and I think Feature Proof 4, you were here last night and you just picked up Satisfactory as well, hadn't you? So yes, we're trying to influence everyone. You haven't started it yet? Yep. Which we're going to set wildlife to passive starting out. Would literally run into a wall. Yeah, the stingers are intense. But I like stingers. I'm Australian. So we know how to deal with spiders. That is not the nicest turn. So we might bring this down a bit. One day, but not today. No, there's no NPCs, just wildlife. And the wildlife doesn't attack your buildings. They're sort of just in nature around. The stingers are one of the most scariest creatures in any game period. True, lucky that it was big IRL even in Australia, I hope. They look massive in this. I was running into some poison stingers and they are huge. But even the tiny stingers, like, they come up fairly close to your height when they get close enough. Ada's an NPC. Ada is an NPC, and the person Ada chats to is kind of an NPC as well. I want to go straight. That's nudging diagonally. The game is not without its bugs. Yeah, the big ones are huge. I am doing it flush. I am doing it flush. The thing with stingers is they leap 50 foot into the air. They are not very easy to outrun. You need to kind of juke with them and that's actually level. How is that level? Yeah, that's actually level. Cool. Nearly killed another PCJ in a game. Like we're NPC, right. Unspin on crack. Keep your PCs on their toes, absolutely. So, a train's throughput is massive compared to what is actually required by the output of this factory. I think what I'll do is I will split it, and I'll actually use a programmable splitter. So I can split some between different inputs. How am I going to attach this all? Oh, it thinks that's a wall. That's because it is actually a wall. That's a lot of text to read. Bullshit damage reducing induction. The only TPK, yeah, talk about D&D still. TPK was on my side and more poor gobbos got nuked. Oh, not the poor gobbos. Is this Fandelva? Russ? Now that's still at that height, but that will conflict with that conveyor. So I will bring this down like this. If I bring this forward to here, okay, that's actually not... That's actually only 1 meter down. Not sure I can do a lift that small. Can I run the mod with Link, as in Oculus Link? Yes. You can run it with Oculus Link, but Virtual Desktop is better performance and runs more smoothly. Actually, that is a little bit under that. Okay, that's not going to snap on. Especially not at that position. Nope, it's not going to snap. See reading up on the guide at the moment. Ah, right. If I make that actually lower, this will make it easier. I have a not very big chat history on my VR overlay, so I apologize if I do miss any chat messages, so I'll try and keep up. And that should be the right position. Now that should snap. Hooray! Okay, so now our output is going through, and I realise that I haven't set up the smart splitter logic yet, which means it will probably all go to the one cart. Didn't quite want that. Stop. UEVR from GitHub is a program I need to run the game from. Yes, so UEVR is a separate program. And it's what puts the Unreal game into VR visual mode. And the mod includes a mod component for the game itself and a profile which you load into UEVR. So the profile is basically instructions for UEVR to then talk directly to the mod, and it's that which passes all the button press and controls in. So there is a step-by-step guide on the wiki. There's also a video guide on installing it. So yes, there's a couple of things you do need to download. And there is also another installer called, I think it's Unreal Easy Injector, which it will do UEVR and the profile automatically, so it is a bit easier to handle. Makes sense. Do need to run other VR games from a separate program as well. So yes, if you're familiar with UEVR, because UEVR has lots of other things, but the difference is this is an in-game mod that then adds a whole bunch of stuff. Project NFT TV, could you give a little showcase? What would you like to see, Project NFT TV? Quest 3 games are becoming less of a thing with the layoffs. Yeah. Mod-based PCVR, so I got a 5080 coming. Cool. Now is a good time to buy a 5080 because the prices are just going to keep going up, and they're going to be harder to get. So I just bought a 5080 recently after realizing that they weren't going to bring out a new the build I'm doing now. Okay, so this build is my basics factory. So this wasn't my very starter factory. I sort of did this after phase 1. This factory is building all of these early game products. So you've got your very basic frame plates here, iron plates, reinforced plates, rods, copper sheets, wire and cable, and there's also Caterium at this point on the map, so I'm also making quick wire and AI limiters, and we also have rotors and frames. So there's a couple of different wings to the factory and a few different floors. So this is the sort of the first floor of the factory, which is mostly smelting. So we have foundries over there that are making copper and iron, and then we have smelters here that are making the Caterium. And then basically all the logistics are under the floor, but I've left it open so you can kind of see the logistics from the floor above if you're down below. So over here, basically it goes around in a circle. So this is like I think the plates. Yeah, this is the plates, and this is the rods. And then we need to go up on another level for the rest of the stuff. So up the back here is the rotors, I believe. And here, what's being made along here? Screws! Ugh. Ah, okay. I think the screws are going to the rotors, because the reinforced plates, we are using the stitched iron plate recipe. And then over here, I think this is the Caterium stuff. So yeah, this is copper sheets, and I think this is wire, and then this is quick wire and cable, and over there is the AI limiters. So it's not a very big throughput factory. It's just meant to top up the depot with building supplies, so that when I go to build, I've got everything I need. There's also a little roof access ladder here where you can get up here onto the roof if you ever need to do maintenance up here on the roof. Also has a pretty good view from up here over the blue crater. So yeah, the new thing is we're building trains because we've just recently unlocked trains and are starting to build the logistics for them all. So what we're doing is the excess products that are not fitting in the containers here, we're loading it onto a train and we're going to take it to a large mall type facility near the space elevator, just so that there's a central storage. I know the depot is there now and that's kind of what people do now, but I like having an old style mall and I've always liked building them. No, not any. So I'm going to divide this. Let's do... I don't really need to divide the stuff into different train carts, but I thought it would be just a bit neater if I did. So let's put iron stuff in this one. So iron plates, iron rods. Let's stick the frames in here as well. And maybe the rotors? Well, rotors are more copper based. Actually, yeah, let's go with the cable and wire here. And then for the second cart, we'll put copper sheets, where the light frames and the rotors are where frames. I'm trying to remember what else I might make here. I make quick wire and AI limiters. I think that programmable splitters used to be restricted to 4 things at a time, and I don't know if I'm misremembering that or if I've always been wrong, or maybe they did change it. Don't have to run Satisfactory within UEVR. Yeah, you start Satisfactory first separately. And then there's an inject button on the UEVR, but then that starts the VR mode, and then when that happens, the mod kicks into action and takes over. The mod itself comes with the Satisfactory mod loader, and that's a really good mod manager, but because UEVR is separate, it's a little bit fiddly of extra stuff you need to do. I'm just going to say any undefined because I can't remember what else there was. I would love to put native VR support in, so actually have it so you don't need UEVR, but I need to figure out how to do that yet. 2 zip files in the get problem latest release, do I need both or just the... so you just need to download the profile, and which profile you download for the zip file depends on if you're using the Steam version or the Epic version of Satisfactory. Yeah, all UEVR games, you have to run the UEVR tool separately to switch to VR mode. But the good thing is like, you don't have to switch. If you want to play flat mode, all you do is restart the game. So UEVR only kicks in when you hit the inject button. So if you're on Steam, there will be a factory game Win64 Steam zip file. I think that's the profile you need to do to download. I'm not putting my finger on what I say. I mean, let me just switch to a browser, and I'll show you. I'll give you a quick look at what is needed. Just give me a sec. It's been a while since I've done the browser on stream. Let's see if this works. Okay. No, exit. Okay, so this is the mod homepage. So this is a good place to go to. Now this page also has the Fix-It mod installer. So if you go here and say download the mod manager, that's what will install the Satisfactory mod, and it will manage any other Satisfactory mods you have.
Futureproof 4 just subscribed to the channel. Thanks for your support, Futureproof 4.
Well, thank you for the subscription. So you then need to download UEVR injector tool. So you come over here and you just get the latest one. This is fine, and just download this zip file. And the other thing you need is the profile. So if you're on Steam, grab this first one. If you're on Epic, grab the second one. Now, the other thing I mentioned to do is there is a alternate manager called Unreal Easy Injector. Ada is the ship's computer in the Outer Worlds one as well. Oh, really? They've used the same voice. So this can make it easier if you use this tool here, because basically instead of using UEVR, you download this, and this is like a UEVR management tool. So if you install this tool and search for Satisfactory, it will automatically pick the right profile and install it for you. So using this tool here is a bit easier to manage the profile and stuff. But I haven't made a guide video on using this particular way of installing it. There was some problems with it earlier, but now it's a decent way of downloading UEVR and the profile at the same time. Okay, let me just switch back. Oops. Yeah, the Ada voice is a standard Google text-to-speech voice. So you can do custom Twitch alerts with the same voice. Yep. Yeah, if there is a video that walks through the installation on my channel, so you can use that. But give the deluxe, the Easy Injector one a go, because that will be easier, I think. And it makes it harder to put the profile in the wrong place, because the profile can be a little bit fussy. Yes, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just catching up. Thank you for the subscribe, Futureproof 4. I really appreciate it. With a good old Prime sub, use it or lose it. Okay, so meanwhile, we're starting to get some products in here. So we've got 5 products in this one. Oh, we've got lots of products in this one. Hang on. Oh, that's right. A few things snuck in here before we managed to get the programmable splitter set up, but that's fine. Yes, there is a step-by-step on YouTube. There's a video. It's called, I think it's UEVR Enhancements 0.9 Install Guide or Setup Guide. It's actually linked from the mod page. So, hang on. Where is it? If you go to the mod page, this here is the setup guide. So click on that video and that will step you through the full install. It's not too difficult an install to do, especially if you've used other VR mods. Some can be quite fiddly. I would like to make it easier, definitely. But at the moment, yeah, there's a couple of steps to it. But as I said, I'd like to have native VR support, so you don't need to use UEVR. But that may be something I try and tackle this year. I need to learn how to do it. Right, so we have our station, and our station is filling up. Now we need a train to actually cart the goods off. I'm just going to call it home delivery, although I could call it like Uber or something. So basically, oh, is this train going to be enough for that? That's okay, I can set up another train later on if need be. So I won't start this train yet, because if it dumps stuff at the other end, then nothing's going to happen because I haven't set that up. That's the next thing we need to set up, which is over here. Now, while I'm here, we are inside the train cockpit. Now, this is a separate mod. This is called Train Interiors mod. It works in flat mode, so if you want to have a train interior just playing flat mode, this mod works as well. But it also works in VR, so that you can have an immersive cockpit with your train, and it's really cool, the detail that they put in here, with gizmos and buttons and levers and things. So yeah, train interiors, highly recommend adding train interiors to your mod list as well. I could drive this train. No, I need to make some modifications to the station. So I'm just going to grab another train. And we're going to drive to the home centre. Yes, menu log rip. So this is a single loop that comes from the Blue Crater up through the Titan Forest and then loops back around. So it's a one-way loop, and it's probably going to bite me in the butt later on as far as logistics. Oh, that's an interesting perspective. It's a bit buggy. Quick, roll back the latest release. This is supposed to put you above the train. Well, I guess we're just staying inside the cockpit tonight. Wow, it's extra misty through here tonight. The controls are exactly the same. So if you look, I'm not using any of the actual gizmos here, but on the dashboard here it tells you which buttons to use to control. So right trigger is forward, left trigger is backwards, left grip is brake, you've got your horn, you can toggle your lights on and off. Well, that doesn't seem to do anything at the moment. And you can pull up your train menu to edit your timetables and everything as well. And this view here is supposed to be above the train. I'm not sure why it's not. But if you don't have the train interiors, basically the camera just sits just above the train, which is how it effectively is in the normal flat version. Didn't want to go down here, but oh well. Watch out, George. So the train line is going to continue ahead here, and I'm going to build a heavy modular frame factory just down in the desert there. And I'm going to use oil as an alternate recipe to make my frames, so no coal frames. Which I technically have done once before in a co-op game with a friend, but we didn't finish that game, so... So through here, oh, that's a terrible view. There's lots of coal in this area, so that's another good spot for building a factory. Yeah, if you don't have the train interiors, the default mode is just above the train, and then you press the view button for a higher perspective. But if you have the train interiors, the default view changes to inside the cockpit. Nuclear Hog is back. This was fun building the rail through here because we have a poison stinger on the left there. And there was one on the right here, but I've trapped him inside a bunker, so he can't get out. I need to make a cage for the other guy, just so he can watch the trains going past safely. They're eight-legged creatures. They're a lot scarier than spiders. They only actually walk on four legs. The other four legs are for giving you a big hug when they leap 50 foot into the air at you. And the poison ones also drop a gas cloud on you and poison you. I will just drop down here, although I'm actually just going to delete this train engine, so this is temporary. Okay. Hey, if it's a bad spider, we deal with it, but not all spiders are bad. So we actually didn't go very far on the map here. We were at this train station here, and we travelled all the way up here and all the way back down to here. So what I might do, well actually what I'm going to do, is I'm going to put a loop in here as a shortcut that sort of shortens the circle, because not every train will need to go all the way around the full loop. So I will add some shortcuts to the loop as we go. But here we are at the space elevator. Which we've built here. And I built a blueprint to act as storage, which I have ringed around the circumference of the elevator here. So there's a lot of storage containers here. So I think there's enough for every product that we might need to build stuff in the game. But we're going to start filtering stuff in and sorting it into each of the different ones. And hopefully we won't bottleneck. So the idea is that each train will come in and it'll drop a sample of products, not a huge volume, but a sample of products. And it'll come down this river of conveyor belts here, and then it'll get magically auto-sorted into the different containers. So I think I'll actually work a bit on the sorting end first before I redo the stations. And I threw this together at the end of last session, and it's terrible, so I'm going to just rip it all down. It is a tangle. This is a symptom of late stream experimentation, where I'm just throwing stuff and seeing what sticks, and then I finish the stream and I log out, and then I realize that's all terrible and there's a better way of doing it. So the thing is, we've got all this space over here that is under the concrete. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue these 4 conveyors to under the concrete perimeter, and then here's where we're going to do our messy logistics, and then we will sort it into containers from there. So I'll leave the bit, I won't do too much under the glass, so when you're above looking down at the glass it's going to be fairly clear, although you will see the 4 belts of material come through under the glass, which is a good thing. But what happens next is to be determined. And we've actually got some vertical space here. So we have 4 belts coming in, and we need to combine them into 2 belts. We need to sort off project parts, and then the rest of the materials we then feed around the sorting system. What is in this junk box? Plates. You know what? I'm going to get rid of this. I really do not need this much biomass. You should sleep. Have a good one, peeps. Thanks very much, Russ. Have a good night and a good day tomorrow. So we're going to use programmable splitters, which, well, how much do they cost? These take computers. See, I'm not automating computers or heavy frames, so we do need to be careful with how much we spam these. And that's going to be lined up. Is that going diagonal? That's better. I kind of need the full 4 height. Big on YouTube, how are you evening doing? VR and Satisfactory is crazy. Hello, welcome, welcome. Yes, it is crazy, and it is awesome, and it's the only way to play. Now, do I lift these up so that they look cool under the glass? Let's do a run of one of them just to see how it looks. So if we do this like this, it'd be nice if that was further that way by 1. Well, guess I'm going to move them all.
Look lively. It's time to do those stretches and hydrate.
Teach me your ways. Big on YouTube. If you look in the description of the YouTube video, there is a link to the mod page that will tell you where to download it and how to use the mod and how to install it. There is also a video guide that will step you through the process of installing it. And that was a Twitch alert that I'm on an ad break and I didn't get a warning. Or did I just miss the warning? That was the wrong alert. The ad break has not actually started yet. It's starting very soon. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Twitch wants to run some ads. I'm going to have a drink and a bit of a stretch. And I will be back to continue this build, and hopefully nothing will attack me while I'm hiding under the elevator here. Back in a few minutes. No, it's not just you, Big On. I think it's pretty understanded that Ada is pretty funny. Certainly, I think she's written to have a level of satire and social commentary and humour to her, definitely. Now these are the right lifts. These are Mark 3s. That will not do. Let's upgrade them to Mark 4. So I've only got Mark 4 unlocked at the moment, so all of this is Mark 4. And I still use Mark 3 by default. Basically, I use Mark 3 as it's a cheap one with lots of speed that does the job for most things. And then I will use higher speed belts once they're needed. But Mark 4 is the top I've got. I'm only on phase 3 at the moment. So this is a fairly laid-back, slow playthrough where I'm taking my time to put lots of detail into what I'm building. So yes, I'm in about 170 hours into this playthrough and we're still doing phase 3. Let me take that support out. Are you still on Mark 3? Mark 3's good. You're in the steel phase of the game, are you? Okay. That looks a bit more industrial and neat. And so now, if we're up above here, we should see all the materials flooding through here as they come into the sorting facility. Those miners do, those lifts do stick out a fair bit, but that's okay. Waiting for the phase 2 of the space elevator to finish? Right. Okay, so we now have the 4 belts going into programmable splitters, and we need to split off project parts. Now, the project parts are going to go straight to the elevator. So previously we had a truck depot here that was delivering the project parts from the previous phase, which basically I manually just drove up a truck and dunked the stuff in. Yeah, the trains are cool. So next phase you'll unlock trains. So this is a what is called a mall, and it's not really needed in the game. Before the dimensional depot, it was a common thing for people to build. So basically, I'm shipping every single product in the game is going to come in here, and the train is going to dump off everything. So, and all the parts are going to come down the conveyors here, and then they're going to run around this circle of containers and all sort. So each container will have a different product. And for the project parts, they're going to be split off and they come up these conveyors here into the elevator here. So it's kind of a HQ of everything. Yeah, exactly. It's like I do it because I like making this sort of structure. And sometimes I do need to go and get a pile of a particular resource. So this just means rather than having to go to different factories to get those resources, I can come to a single place and pick up all the resources just there. So now we've got to program these things. We want project parts. I got 3 outputs, so I could do this a different way. I think I'll keep the project parts as the middle one though. So adaptive control units is something we are making this phase. And some sort of motor and some sort of frame, and I've gone past them already. Modular engine is the other project part, and this will be What's it called? Flexible? Flexible frame, I think. No, it's not under F. There it is. Versatile. Okay, versatile, flexible. Potato, patata. Yes, it's an item sorter. So everything will come in here. Those three things will go this way. And then everything else will go out to the right. And then behind each of the containers is another smart splitter, and it will do the same thing where it will sort the materials out into the different containers. So we're going to copy the settings here. And we're basically going to just paste the same... Hang on, that's got any in there. That's interesting, that didn't paste the settings properly. Okay, so now all the project parts we need to merge in, and basically it needs to go to that point there. So let's take out the old truck delivery system. Do I put this in a storage container or not? You can use these storage containers in this sort of setup, but they are a bit of a trap because if you have lots of items of one type coming through, it can flood and block other items from being sorted. I think I'm going to not actually do that. I think I'm just going to have merges. How am I going to lay this out? Because these don't stack particularly well. If I do this, and then if I do something similar, how am I gonna... Because basically those two will merge into one there, and then we'll have one output. Maybe I do something similar. Here. I know, if I do it... Okay, I think I can do this. So this one comes in straight here. This one comes in... Oh, don't fall down. going to fall in the water if I'm not careful. So these two merge into that one. These two merge into that one. And then we can have the output of this one down here. Is it that high? Ah, no, I need to snap it from there. Oh, this is going to bug out on me. So there's a bug, or there was a bug, where if you start building a lift from an anchor point there, it won't actually attach. So what I need to do is I need to do something really dodgy. Basically, it has to attach to a conveyor belt or another lift. If you start building from a support... Come on, let me just build a random thing, please. That looks like I just jumped through hoops, and I did effectively actually jump through hoops, but now that should actually connect. So that's a four-way merger. You know, I'm tempted to blueprint that. That might be useful again. Could have done it the other way around with this one higher up and the other one lower, because now we're coming down from here. And this has got to go up to here, so we actually do need a lift from here up to the roof. And then that comes around to there. So that should sort all four into one. And because it's project parts, I don't actually have an easy way to test it. What does it take to build 100 of those things? Maybe I should make a little project set up somewhere else. Let's just do it here. Modular engines. Take motors, rubbers, and smart plating. Oh, that's interesting. I don't have any smart plating. Adaptive control units. Take automated wiring, which I'm not automating yet, and two other things I'm not automating, and circuit boards, which I'm not automating. The frames, are they just an assembler? Delete, thank you. Right, okay, so these are easy to make, and ironically, I have several thousand of these on a factory way over there, but I just need like 5 of them to test out this sorting facility. So let's just make a bunch. Better check my sorting down here. I'm going to fall in the water. Style framework, overflow. I don't think I've configured these for this next phase yet. Really should put some maintenance walkways up here, shouldn't I? Okay, so enter output, let's set that to adaptive control units, and this one to something or other engine, modular engine. Okay. Now I'm just going to delete that one there, just as a stop anything getting sunk that doesn't get through. Actually, you know what? I'm going to chop it off, I think, completely. I'm just going to stick it in a storage container. We're not testing with actual sinking it into the elevator, we're just testing the sorting process here. So we should be able to flood all 4 of those conveyor belts. And all 4 should get sorted correctly. Really? I'm one steel beam short? 46 is plenty though. I'm just going to make some space here, just for testing. Again, this is going to be ugly. It's just for testing. Oh, that's not even straight. Actually, the big spiders in Australia are lovely and friendly. Yeah, it's the little ones you got to watch out for, like the redbacks, whitetails. Did I already put a conveyor? I already put one in there. Okay. As I said, ugly. But this will test 4 streams and sorting process. So we want, where's our frames? Magical frames, there we are. No, 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 not all of them. Nah. Split. Yeah, close enough. Okay, so we now have not that many coming down. So we shouldn't get any backup. If this is sorting properly, all of these belts should be clear afterwards. And all 4 of these should have stuff going through. That looked like it worked. 46, done, excellent. So now we kind of need the similar thing. Actually, the other side we're only going to merge into 2 because internal to here, there's already 2 runs that run around. So it will actually be a little more efficient. And so we effectively only need 2 output. And they'll both go that way. Actually, we should line it up with where we're going to line it up. Albert Doy, hey, good evening. How are you going? So we should really line these up with the point that we're going to inject the stuff. So let's pick an arbitrary point. They will actually be side by side because we go under and then up. That was the merger there. So but filling them with bits, it will be easier if they are staggered like the other ones there. How are you going? You happy? Because yesterday you finally finished the generator tower module. Takes 5.7 concrete per 1 module. Or 5.7 thousand concrete per 1 module. Oh, right. Okay, your fuel tower generator towers. Yes, they do take a lot of concrete. Yes. So how am I going to wire this up neatly? Maybe that should actually be lower. That would actually be down into there, yeah? Okay, I'm going to need to build, I think, some waypoints. What do you mean red? There was nothing clipping with it at that point. It just didn't like floating 2 meters above the ground, but it liked 1 meter. I don't know exactly. Okay, this one we will want a lower mount point. That's probably too far forward. Be terrified of spiders in VR, SL, they are pretty terrifying. Especially when you're building and then they just jump out of nowhere at you while you're building. I have a few factories that are kind of near spore points for them and they just come up and terrify me. Certainly can lead to some swearing and leaping. I think I might need another snap point here. What console machine can you play this in VR? So it's a PC. With a pretty beefy graphics card, and I'm using a Quest 3 VR headset. And so the Quest 3 is streaming to the PC using software called Virtual Desktop, which allows you to play PC VR games on a Quest headset. Ah, that's further back, that one. Okay, I made a mistake. Yeah, I would love, like, there is a console version of Satisfactory, and the PS5 does support VR, but, yeah, maybe the PS5 Pro might be able to with some dedicated... I fell in the water. Some dedicated work by Coffee Stain, but you can't mod. You can't make mods for PS5. So, me as a modder cannot do anything about getting it to run on that platform. I mean, I would love to have an official PSVR 2 support, but it is not going to happen. That should be lined up. I mean, I know that's not lined up very well, but... Those are on a heavily modified BSD OS. All of them? Have you seen the prototype of the creator of Oculus, their newest headset with explosive on top? Yeah. Yeah, Palmer Lucky is doing some weird stuff. But he's getting the big military funding contracts now. I mean, the explosives on the head, that was a bit of a meme joke. It wasn't something he actually made or built, although he seemed to be semi-serious about it being possible, so yeah. Hey, now it's snapping. For some reason I had to rebuild the merger. Okay, so that is not the tidiest, but you kind of get that when you're dealing with circular builds. Oh, I used curved mode there. Curved coat mode can make things look better. Yeah, that one not so much though. It would have been, yeah, well, the whole point of a console is it's super locked down. With the rise of the Steam Deck, though, and coming up the Steam frame and things like that, I think we are going to see more games have a native Linux supported version. Okay, so now this one needs to come up to ceiling height, and then we should be able to get 2 parallel runs of merged stuff for sorting that will come across to here. Now there's a container behind there, so I can't go straight through the walls. So we do need to come up to a lift and then have the lift duck under, and we will merge from behind. So this will basically come under here to there. Steam machine is going in that direction, and I can't be happy. Yeah. The more Valve supports Steam Deck and Steam Machine and things like that, I think the better Linux support, native Linux support, is going to get. But Dippy, who sometimes pops into the stream, and he's actually, I think, playing Satisfactory and streaming it now on Twitch. He plays Satisfactory VR in Linux. So it does work, it is possible. It does not run as well as on Windows, but he seems to get reasonable playable frame rates out of it. I've asked him to write up a guide for me. I'm still waiting, although he's still experimenting with settings, so. Now this is a little squishy here because this will be the end of the circle, and so what comes out here needs to go to the sink. So we actually need output lifts here. Hopefully that will, I'm pretty sure if this doesn't go in naturally, yeah, I think we can fudge that though. Dippy VR. If you have a look on Twitch for Dippy VR, I don't know, he might still be streaming, but he was streaming Satisfactory in VR on Linux a little earlier this evening. And he has an overhead view of his settings, so you can actually see what DPS he's getting and things. That is still not great. I lined up with the wrong one. Yeah, DIPIVR. That normally would fit. Why is it not fitting? Okay, I'm going to move everything across. It's going to be a little more cramped, but it's okay. We can fit everything in. And it will not be too much of a clipping crime. You'll use merger towers and don't build belts that go in 3D, only 2D for aesthetic purposes. Yeah, you could build it. The problem is I need the throughput. I need both of these lines to go to separate outputs. That's why I'm fiddling around to make sure that there's actually two of everything. It is a little cramped, but I mean, I could actually, like, I probably don't need this many storage. I could just take out a storage and have a blank spot every now and again, and that's probably fine, but these will go to the sinks, which one of them's up the back and there will be another one up the back later on. I could lower them down a meter. The right height? Yes. Does a side-by-side curve fit? Yes, it does. Okay, cool. So now we have project parts splitting off to that way. We have all the other parts coming this way. We're collapsing 4 belts down to 2 because throughput. The 4 belts coming in is more for appearances rather than actual throughput. But we still want to have at least 2 belts of throughput through the whole sorting system. From experience making these before, I'm probably going to run into capacity problems and throughput problems. But then, by then maybe we'll have Mark 6 belts and we'll just have to upgrade all the belts. Okay, now I made this so long ago that everything here is Mark 3 belts. So I need to go through and upgrade everything and also hook everything up in a circle around. So yeah, we'll stay in curved mode. Curved mode is kind of made for this situation. Basically, once we get Mark 5 belts, we'll come through and do a similar sort of upgrade of upgrading all the belts from Mark 4 to 5, which will double our capacity. Actually, not quite double our capacity. This was originally where I was going to bring the stuff up, so we can delete that. I wonder if auto-connect blueprints work with curves, or do they need to be actually lined up perfectly? That would need having a little bit of belt out of each one though, and so each of these 1 belts would be 3 belts, which shouldn't affect anything other than maybe your parts limit. Who talked me into making all 30-something of these containers? One random trooper worked to treat with the mod. Cool, cool. Got to see all my factories in VR and visit the space station in first. Did you shoot yourself up there? It does run a bit rough though on my PC. Isn't cut out for this. Definitely an upgrade on motherboard and CPU. What sort of motherboard and CPU do you have? One random trooper. I might be able to give you some optimization tips. Yeah, hypertube cannons are fun in VR. Feel like Jen, it's way past your upgrade. Yeah, a lot of it I mean, some of it's down to graphics card. Do I use blueprints often? I do. I use blueprints pretty much for a lot of, I'd say a lot of things. Like if you, I'm going to make some separate blueprint guides, but my approach to factories is I tend to make subsections of the factories as blueprints, and so I will make a blueprint. Like I have a blueprint that will make what was it? Steel product stators. So I've got one blueprint just for making stators, and then I have another blueprint that makes motors. So if I ever need motors, I can just whack down the blueprint that makes motors. And the blueprint has sort of design elements in part of it, so it's not just a bare functional blueprint. So I use blueprints a lot for having design elements, because in this playthrough I want things to kind of look decent. So I've spent a bit of time making blueprints with bells and whistles on it and walkways and things like that. So once I've done this, I can show you some of my blueprints if you want to get a good idea of what I'm doing. I think automation go without blueprints is like cooking. Using a single small spoon for everything. Well, in the Dark Ages we didn't have blueprints and we had to do everything manually. Blueprints certainly do help in scaling things up to larger scales, because you do the detail once and then the repetition is just replicating that detail. So I'll spend a session designing a blueprint, and then the next session will be using that blueprint and building an entire factory out of it. I've been playing Satisfactory since update 5, a little bit after update 5. I actually got Satisfactory in a bundle, and I didn't play it for a while. I got the bundle for some other stuff. But yeah, update 5 is when I started playing. And I had about 1,200 hours played, just playing on flat screen mode, before I started work on the VR mod. And since then, I've pretty much doubled that time. I'm about 2,500 hours worth of playtime. But a lot of those, you know, before 2,000 hours were doing testing of the mod. So I'm sure I was building factories and stuff, but it was more just poking around in other games rather than doing a full playthrough. So I'm only on phase 3 in this playthrough, and this is the first playthrough I've started since 1.0 came out. So I have not actually finished phase 5 ever. I've done a bit of phase 5 on several old saves, but this will be the first save where I've started since 1.0 and played through to the very end. And I'm taking my time. We're about 200 hours, approaching 200 hours in this particular playthrough. It's like 170-ish. Now how do I get out of here? Oh, I'm stuck. Can I get up here? Yes, there's the hole. Okay, that didn't take too long. So we haven't programmed any of the sorting, but we have connected all the belts up and we've upgraded everything to Mark IV. So I'll show you, if you're interested, I'll show you a couple of the blueprints I've got in this particular playthrough. I can just chuck down the blueprint maker here. Actually, I did quite a few on the Mark I blueprints before I upgraded. I think motherboard and CPU is like 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, okay. And your GPU upgrade is waiting for PCIe to handle it to the fullest. I think I checked compatibility at some point and no bottleneck, but age shows on my hardware for sure. Yeah, RAM is also an issue, and RAM is expensive right now. If you're going to get an upgrade, now is a good time to do it. Or at least it's going to get worse. So I do have a few basic reusable blueprints. So like this one is just 4 foundries, and it's all with the manifold set up, and with power connectors and beams all set up. So that's kind of a general use one. And so I have some that are just like that if I need something boring like foundries, I can drop that down. Constructors. This one I'm building more vertically. So this is actually a blueprint with 3 vertically manifolded constructors. Now, vertical splitters and mergers are a pain in the butt, so you do have to manually do the belt work on this after, but this is kind of like got like beams and lights and pillars and wiring. So again, the detail work is done into it, but you do need to do some finishing work when you connect it up together. So this is my motors blueprint, and this is on a Mark I blueprint. So this takes in ingots, so you still need to do ingot processing, but this I think takes in steel and iron at the bottom, and at the top it will output 10 motors per minute. So if I ever need 10 motors a minute and I've got steel and iron handy, I can just plonk one of these down. And then I've got sort of architectural ones. So this here is sort of a border I can put around large trees. So if there's a big tree I want to keep, I can put this down and surround it. So it's a bit of a nice tree surround. Then there's chunks of a building. Trying to think of what are the interesting ones. Oh, there's my bunker. So this is my bunker. So if I'm out and about, I'll just drop this on the ground. So if I'm going and I'm getting hard drives, I can drop this bunker on top of the hard drive. And if I time it so that there's no creatures in the bunker, then I can just drop through the roof down the ladder. I can loot the bunker, And then when I'm done, I climb out and I can delete the bunker and away I go. I also use this to trap creatures, like there was a nuclear hog down here, so I just dropped one of these on top of him and then he couldn't chase me.
Incoming propaganda broadcast detected. Please seek shelter.
So those are sort of the Mark 1 ones. But recently I've unlocked the Mark 2 blueprint maker. And so I'll show you production, diluted fuel. So this is a diluted fuel blueprint, and it's got walkways and architecture around. Now this takes in crude oil, and so it turns the crude oil into heavy oil residue. And over here, it takes the heavy oil residue and turns it into fuel. But this is, I don't have blenders yet, so this is packaged fuel. So in the middle here, there is a packager that will package the fuel. Sorry, it'll unpackage the fuel. So the fuel comes, liquid fuel comes out there. And in this side, it takes in water and packages the water. So it packages the water, goes through there, comes through as packaged fuel, unpackages it, and basically it loops the empty containers around, so it recycles the empty containers. Now you could fit this on a Mark 1 blueprint, but through this playthrough I'm trying to have a bit of space between the machines. Like you can put a refinery right up against a refinery, but these middle bits kind of overlap, and it looks a bit naff, so I'm trying to make blueprints and factories that have a bit more space and a bit more a little bit more realism, at least as far as layout goes. So having the Mark II blueprint lets me do that and kind of build in a bit more features into the actual layout of the blueprint. Yeah, you can cram a lot in a blueprint. Here I've gone more for layout and style rather than optimal space. Then I have a Versatile Framework, I think was a Mark 1 one. To go with the diluted fuel is the recycled plastic one. So this is just 3 refiners set up to make recycled plastic. And again, you could fiddle this, squash it together and fit it on a Mark 1, but in this one I've put a bit of room between them with walkways and included the back walls as a feature. So these 2 blueprints is pretty much what my plastic and rubber factory is made out of, just these 2 blueprints. And then with some extra architecture to kind of glue it all together. So spend a bit of time, do the detail here, and then you can slamp these down. So when I need to double my rubber and plastic output, all I need to do is go build another floor, stick all these blueprints on it, and I'm pretty much done. So that's kind of what I use blueprints for. But sometimes I'll do super small things. I wonder if I've got any. That's a different one. Okay. There was a part where I was making a pattern of walkways where I did stairs up, landing, landing, stairs down, landing, landing. And so I did a temporary blueprint just of those parts running together, just for doing a particular build. And then once it was done, I didn't keep the blueprint because it was just a temporary one. Yeah, as soon as I get, phase 2, I get the first blueprint maker and I start using it. Okay, I'm going to take a break. Twitch wants me to run some ads, and I'm going to get a drink and have a bit of a stretch. So be back in about 3 minutes. That's the wrong button. There's the button. We'll be back shortly.
Look lively. It's time to do those stretches and hydrate.
Oh, look, and my mic didn't actually mute, so you've been hearing me chew lollies and stuff. Big on. Ada was telling me to take a break and do some exercises and get a drink of water. Is my mic actually on? Yes, it is. Okay. Apologies for any sound effects you may have heard, because my microphone didn't mute while I was away. So yeah, it was not an in-game Ada message, it was a stream Ada message telling me that it was time to take a break. So we are back, and we are... I think this place is called the Eastern Dune Forest or something. We're sort of on the east side of the map, sort of south near the Blue Crater. You heard a slurp? Yeah. I was just having some snakes lollies to give myself a bit of sugar and something to snack on. We are working on deliveries of parts to the space elevator, where we are splitting off project parts to load them in the elevator, and then anything else that gets delivered here is going to go through this entire circular sorting system, and a different part is going to be sorted into each of these containers. So, underneath here we have 4 conveyors coming in here, and these 4 conveyors each go into a programmable splitter. And at the moment these are all programmed exactly the same, and it's basically to split off the project parts one way, and then all the rest of the stuff goes a different way. So the project parts then get merged into a single belt, which comes through and goes through here, and then that will feed up into the elevator. All the other parts get merged from 4 down to 2 belts, and then they go through the other side over there, where they then get passed behind all the containers, where there is a number of smart splitters which will split off the different items that are coming through. So yes, the belts are collapsing down, so this is going to not be 100% efficient if those belts coming in are saturated. And I've not got any buffer containers here. Relax, enjoy life, good time zone. What, this time zone? How you going, Relax? It's a happy Saturday morning, I believe, is it? Haven't played video games with the free motion in some time, and it shows. Feeling a bit fussy about the after exploration. Yeah, also watch the frame rate. This game is very demanding, and so if your frame rate is a bit low, that can cause some queasiness. So now I need to figure out what I want to stick in each container. Now this is kind of the front here, so I'll probably want the most used materials to come in sort of this sway around here. So I'd start over there, but I might actually start kind of on this one. If I make that one rods and then work my way around from there. So we'll need to come in here in the back. For each of these, we need to select what we want to put in the container. I probably should do one and then just cut and paste the settings. You're good? Yep, 7 AM and cold AF in Colorado. I've heard there's ice storms over that side of the world while we have heat waves. 2F. What is that in real degrees? A yell from across the house says -30. If it's -30, that's cold. Nope, apparently he's wrong. If you ever worked at Coffee Stain Studios, what would you add in Satisfactory? I'd fix the bugs. -16, my source across the house tells me. -16 Celsius, which is very, very cold. Lee Hawkins photo, see, -16. There we go, we have a corroboration. That is really, really cold. I don't think I've ever been in weather that cold. What else would I add to Satisfactory? Someone's asked this before, and normally I will think of things after the stream is over. Oh, I could give you a whole list of bugs. There are definitely bugs in the game. -10 here in the mornings. It's not that cold but chilly. Do you go out in the -10, or do you just stay inside and hide? I'm going to totally lose track of what I've actually put in each of these, aren't I? We're going through basic products. We've done the iron stuff and the iron sheets. We need to do copper stuff and wire. If in Cleveland currently, big snowstorm. Yeah, I've heard there's a big storm. I want to put wire in next. Where's wire? Is it just called wire? It is. -40 in the Dakotas, it doesn't matter whether it's C or F when it's -40. No, I imagine it doesn't. Well, we got up to positive 40 degrees Celsius in the last few days. It's in construction 8 years, and the limit to not working outside is like -25 once machines start having issues. Oof. I prefer cold to heat, but I don't know how well I would work with that much cold. That was wire, iron and cable. Let's do Caterium wire next, because it's kind of a wiry thing. Quick wire. Quick wire is under Q. Matter of getting used to it? Yeah, I'm sure. When you first had Satisfactory, my dumbass thought you could put coal in biomass burners. They used to be a lot more restrictive with putting different fuels in different things, and then they opened it up a bit. You can always put more clothes on. Yeah, exactly. You can always put more clothes on it because there's only so many you can take off. Absolutely. Do I want to put AI limiters in here? Yeah, let's do AI limiters now, and we'll do frames next. So this is actually, I'm going to do steel next. I'll do frames after a bit. So we want steel pipes. And steel beams. And then I'll do encased beams next. Then I think I'll start on the frames here. And I might leave space for the later frames. How many different frames are there? Like 4? Or is it 5? Yes, let's see, once it starts blowing in the coal is next level. Yeah. We see the sun from mid-November to March or April. I can't imagine that. I mean, part of me thinks that would be cool, as in, like, interesting, not cool, cold, because obviously it's cold. But like the earliest the sun sets here, I think, is about 5-ish. So this will be a frame that we don't have yet. And I think I might leave 1, 2, 3. That's probably not enough for frames. You know what? Maybe I'll skip the frames because the other frames come later. Actually, the one after heavy modular frames is used in building some late game buildings. So I'll leave a spot for that. But I think the other frames later on I'm going to put elsewhere. So what haven't we done? We haven't done plastic and rubber. Winds straight off Lake Erie. Great Lakes are basically inland freshwater seas. Can't see Canada on the other side of Lake Erie. Wow, that's a big lake. Okay, so we've done plastic and rubber. Is there anything that we're building that I haven't sorted yet? Let's just go through the list. Okay, computers are coming up. But we have crystal oscillators. Just trying to think if there's any early game. Oh, motors and stators. We haven't done motors and rotors and stators. Oh my. Rotors. Can't wait for more standing VR again. Not a huge fan of seated, but battle marked has been nice. Which one was battle marked? That name rings a bell. Where's status? There it is. Oh, Demio. Yes. Okay. Gotcha. That looked good. I suppose it's not really a catwalk VR game. For people not in the know, Relax Enjoy Life, I used to play co-op Satisfactory within VR, and he used to walk around Massage 2 ABB on a catwalk. The dog meat clears and gives go back to normal shoes. Get back in the catwalk. Cool. You shake your little tush on the catwalk. Sorry, that's a song reference. Did I already do crystal oscillators? I don't think I did. You might be showing my age with that song reference. What was it? I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred, I think it was. Concrete! I haven't done one for concrete. I might do that at the other side as a priority. Because concrete is one of the things you regularly want to pack into your suitcase before you go out and build. What else have I missed?
Lee Hawkins Photo just followed you. Thanks for the follow, Lee Hawkins Photo, and welcome to the channel. So I got an even better reason to upgrade my PC since the struggles to run this mod. Yeah, it's definitely a dangerous path of upgrades with this mod. Power shards, no. Well, quartz crystal and silicon, that's probably worth shoving in here. I deserve a sub? That would be nice, thank you. I do also have a Ko-fi or a Patreon if people wish to prefer those platforms for supporting 3080 and such. But how about CPU? I'm guessing a powerhouse. I've always had a fairly decent CPU. My previous CPU was i7 13th gen, and it was fine. So originally I started working with an i7 13th gen and a 2080 is what I originally did development on this. Yes, I recently upgraded to a 9800X 3D and just recently got a 5080. I can't afford a 5090 unfortunately. So current, getting distracted. Quartz, and then silica. Thing is, there are some game engine limits, so I don't know how much the extra CPU is going to be required. I was wondering where I am in the circle here. I am right at the back. Okay. Well, we've mostly kitted this place out. So I don't max out my CPU or my GPU when I'm playing, and so on a 5080 there's not much difference between running on medium settings and running on ultra settings. Like, the extra detail adds to the graphics card, but it doesn't hit the frames much. So raw pixels is what seems to affect performance the most. Hang on, those are rods. Okay, rods was the first one, so let's set this to concrete. So I do recommend, again, it depends on your graphics card. I use DLSS, and I use performance mode, or you can even drop it to 50%. I think that is directly snapped to that. I think it's safe to delete that. And so DLSS 3 that the game comes with is a bit meh. DLS 4.0 looks fantastic, and I actually was running DLSS 4 with less resolution, and it was looking better than DLSS 3 at a higher resolution. But at the moment, I think I am actually using 4.0. I tried the new ones, 4.5, but it hit the frame rate more, and I wasn't seeing a huge graphical improvement over what I've already got. So 4.0 is K, and that's what I recommend for most uses. L is for super upscaling. So if you like super really low res, it can scale up better. But L is actually the highest performance hit. So if I just switch to L without changing my resolution, it hits the frames the hardest. And then M it's a few frames less than K, and it does have better motion. So like when you see the flocks of birds flying past, like up there, there's a bit of smearing, and that smearing is a lot less when using the M prefix. So I would use K or M. I think I actually switched back to K. I think I did a side-by-side, like I'm not a particularly fussy person, but side-by-side, I think M looked a little over-sharpened, perhaps, maybe. There's possibly settings that can be tinkered with. But the biggest jump was going to K, which is the 4.0 preset. And I actually posted some benchmark numbers in the Discord, so the Flat2VR Discord, which is where the home of this mod lives. So if anyone is interested in seeing some numbers, I did test a bunch of different modes and put some numbers there. So theoretically, if we chuck stuff in here, it should sort. And when we haven't connected up the sink, so if I chuck stuff in here and it doesn't sort properly, it's probably going to be a real pain in the butt to clean up. But we'll try it. Let's just chuck A whole stack of that and half a stack of that. Oh, I'm running out of concrete. I think what I haven't put in yet. Oh, we do I have, can I pick the alumina products from the menu yet? That's a good question. Yeah, I think that's most things. Now chuck them in the other side as well. So some pipes, frames. Did I put cable in the other one? I think I did. Can't remember what I haven't put in. Actually, did I put copper sheets in here? So if a train comes along and dumps a lot of crap, this is what we get. We get products coming in here. Wire is always one to clog it up because that comes in stacks of 500. So all of this should come out, all 4 belts here. That should merge down to 2 belts, so there's no backing up here, which is good. And then it will all go up there and start sorting. If I've done it right, there should be nothing banked up at the end. I think this was where the joint was. Yes, so we shouldn't have anything at all come out of these endpoints here if I've correctly set up the sorting. Might take a while to actually have everything filter along here though, even with Mark IV belts. I mean, we could try flooding the system. But it's all right. It's splitting on a Mark IV. So yeah, okay, this is as fast as this particular load test will get. It does look cool though. So let's start checking the containers. Empty. Concrete. Well, only 15 concrete, which seems awfully low. 71 rods. I am accessing them all to make access all the stuff. Yes, I am. Plates. These stack sizes are not very big. Yeah, the updating the icon will take a while, so that is the idea. Pipes. This should be beams. Okay, so looking pretty good so far. I think that was... Oh no, we left space for advanced frames, or one advanced frame. Then we have plastic and rubber. So yes, there is the dimensional depot now, so you don't really need them all. Back in the days, these used to be pretty common in save games to have a one-place stop to go and stock up on materials, but I still like the whole concept of bringing everything into one place and sorting it all. Okay, so now this is the bit. The thing is like I can't select the sign because the way it's set up, it accesses the container behind the sign. So yes, everything goes into the depot at its source factory. So at its source factory, it first fills up a local container there, then it overflows that into the depot. And then the idea is that any overflow from the factory will then be delivered here by train, and then it'll be filtered into these containers here. So there's no dimensional depots here, they're all done at the source factory. But basically, I need to delete this wall and then interact with the bottom of the sign. Please don't make me delete the beam as well. Yay! This was cement, right? Yes. And then you need to stick the wall back on. Which, because of all the stuff I put on top, is going to be a little annoying. There we go. Yes, I mean the idea here is if I do need to do a massive build and I suddenly need, you know, several piles of concrete as well as a pile of computers and a whole pile of stators, then I can come here and get everything. Because at the moment, I'm fine, because basically my concrete, my steel, and my beginner stuff are at all the different factories, and I'll often fill up on concrete and beams. And I've already forgotten what this one is. Rods. So this way, I will have this as my one-stop shop to come and fill up before a big build. Yes. Depot is a bit slow, yeah. So if you're spamming blueprints with a lot of detail in them, you can run out. Even if you don't have a lot of detail in them, blueprints can chew through a whole pile of resources very quickly. It's a bit tricky to aim at this sign. But we do not do these things because they are easy. We do them because we think they are cool. Or we think they are easy. Although I've done enough of these malls that I kind of know what's involved. That's why I know I'm probably going to run into bottlenecking later on. Especially with things like wire. If I deliver too much by train, it's going to be really tricky to only deliver a little bit of plastic and rubber, because I have containers full of plastic and rubber. And so there's some tricks I need to do to have a train only pick up a little bit. Oh, there it is right there, wire. Because we don't need to deliver a lot here. It's at the moment it's only used for like personal refills. So one thing you can do is you can put high volume things on a separate sorting part. So things like wire, quick wire, you can put them and sort them separately, so if they flood the system, they go to the sink faster. And usually, like in past playthroughs, I will have this divided into quarters where different trains will deliver to different quarters of the storage. That way no one train can flood the entire system. But in this, I'm deciding not to. I mean, in the past we didn't have Mark 6 belts, so I'm kind of hoping that by the time I get to that point that that's an issue, I will just be able to throw faster belts at it. So different walking around in VR. I mean, I played a lot in old games in VR as well.
But as I was saying, this is my first playthrough in VR from the start. This one was pipes. I'm trying to remember what I looked at 3 seconds ago. Certainly going through the onboarding in VR will give you VR-specific onboarding. So that'll give you tips about how to do scans and things like that, because there's some gestures. So things like, you know, you can do a scan by picking this and then picking what you want here. But you can also hold the top left button to get a radial menu. And now that's not necessarily as obvious. So the onboarding kind of gives you some tips on different ways of doing things. So it'll tell you about how you can open your backpack using the gesture over your shoulder, and how you can turn your flashlight on and off, or turn your HUD on and off using gestures. And there's tips on loading as well, so I try and give people a bit of a heads up on the different, more advanced things. But that involves people reading them. And if it's one thing I've figured out, it's like people don't often read what's written right there on the screen in front of them. And no, I am actually not going to deliver screws here. There's only one building that requires screws to build, and that's the Awesome Shop. And it's like, if I really need that, I will handcraft some screws. I'm not filling a container full of screws. And I refuse to. I'll use screws in a build, which other playthroughs I haven't. Other playthroughs I actively go out of my way to avoid touching screws at all. But I'm planning on doing some builds with lots of screws. With the menus, well done. I'll see your controllers of VR rather than the hoverpack controllers. Yes, the hoverpack controllers don't have the tips on the back. And that's partly because it was, I don't know why, but I was having real problems trying to bind them to the actual hoverpack model so it didn't move around. Like, I'm not really a 3D model person, although I thought it should work. But like, even on the hands, you can see the icons do kind of move and shift around. They're not locked onto the hand texture. And when I tried a similar thing on the hoverpack controls, it was much worse. Like, they would come out and move like inches away. Reinforced plates require screws with the default recipe, but you can get alternate recipes to make reinforced plates that do not use screws. Pretty much any recipe that uses screws, there will be an alternate recipe to avoid them. Yeah. So let me... So if I build... I don't have any of the buildings on my hotbar, so I usually just copy them. I'm not a constructor. So reinforced iron plate is your basic recipe, take screws. But I have a stitched iron plate that uses iron plate and wire instead, so no screws. Similarly, I don't know if I've unlocked it, rotors. So I have 3 different recipes for rotors. The basic rotor recipe, iron rod and screws. The copper rotor takes 6 copper sheets and a buttload of screws. That's a fun one. And then you have steel rotors, which take steel pipe and wire. No screws. So you can make rotors without screws. So if you don't like screws, there are ways to avoid them. That said, like copper rotor, I don't think this is a bad recipe. And the good thing about this one is it outputs 11.25 per minute. So you need a lot less machines to make rotors if you use this recipe. The problem is you need 195 per minute screws to feed the beast. So you can't even do this until you have Mark III belts. And then you need a way of massively producing screws, which, if you have the steel screw recipe,
Which do I have it unlocked? I've only got cast screws. There is a steel screw recipe where you put in steel beams and it makes a buttload of screws. So by combining that with the copper rotors, you can just have a stream of screws. The problem is the screws are usually so high throughput. Yeah, you don't need to store screws though, because they're not really used for building. But the problem is in a factory production line, the throughput of screws is just so high that it's usually a headache for people. Okay, so I haven't tagged everything, but I think I've got the main ones, and I can always come back later and fix it up. And nothing came through the sink, which means everything sorted correctly, which is a bonus. Does need a lot of upscaling in the game. Yeah, like that one recipe, 195 screws a minute per machine. So that's a lot. That's another advantage of doing a blueprint like a motors factory with everything in the one blueprint, because if you're making your screws in the blueprint and you're using them in the blueprint, you don't have to merge them together and split them up again. You can just go make screws in the blueprint, use them straight away, no bother merging them in or anything like that. Okay, now we need to set up so that the trains can deliver all this crap. I've also realised that my bags are probably really a bit empty at the moment, but that's fine. Now, do we have enough room here? I kind of want to... So there's 4 train carriages and 4 belts. But the problem is like some of them will have a train coming with 2 carriages. But I don't want to only use 2 belts if that's the case. I'd rather use more belts. So I think I'm going to have to do some mixing and merging here to get things how I want. And I think I'm going to have to bury some logistics underneath. I also think I'm going to move this station forward. We've got lots of room here. What's down there? Hunk of sulfur. We don't have a lot of room underneath, so I'll need to go down and assess how crazy I am at trying to fit all this underneath. I think I will actually put those on that side. That way I can go down underneath, do a bunch of stuff with it and spit them out the other side. Because part of the problem is back here, it's a very tight lead in to the factory here, but if I delete these 2 platforms, then it gives you more room to have more runs coming into the station. So I think that's actually spaced better. There is a valve. Yes, I could have them all going up to a top level. Absolutely, that's actually an interesting idea. I usually bury the logistics underneath, but I certainly could have them go up and then have all the stuff rain down from above. Yeah. And the problem is this side we're over the nitrogen, which I'm a little cautious of. Also right on that tree. Although the tree just misses the outputs, so... I've also not made enough new platforms. No, I need another one of them. And a station up front. ran into a plant. So I should have a lot more room to be able to split off and have those coming in now. You reckon put it above the station? A lot of items flowing. Yes, that's my concern. Now that's the thing. This is overkill. I'm probably not going to be delivering huge amounts of quantities on both stations. I could probably actually get away with just one station. But the other advantage of having two is a train can sit there and another train can come in here. If you split your trains between it, then it's going to be less congestion on your line, and you will have less trains queuing to get in. Because if there's lots of trains coming through to queue to get in, this will block the main line if there's too many trains waiting. And this is the main line that circles around my whole map, so I cannot block this line. I need to have trains flowing and not hanging around too much. So space underneath or space above. I got rid of all my solid fuel. Now, where is it? Wait for it to highlight. There it is. Offloading and loading does take time. Yeah, even if you tell the trains don't hang around, they do take some time. So I could have 1 meter along here. Which would give me this amount of height space to offload and sort stuff. Bit squeezy through there. Where is the actual... Okay. Okay, conveyors are there. So if they come through... I haven't got the 1 meter on there. Yeah, no, that's too tight to bring products through. I mean, I could clip them through the ground. But I don't think I like that much clipping. And I've just trapped myself? No, not quite. Okay. Because originally this line here was going to run between them, which would have really stuffed me up space-wise. But if I put stuff above, then I think that will work. I will also do buffers on the output of the trains. Whoops. And I'll have a double belt outputting. And then I'll have a single belt up the top that will then merge in with everything else. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this platform's around the wrong way. I was like, what happened to the end platform?
I think I'll just set up one of the train platforms tonight. Because I don't need both right now. I've only got a couple of trains that are going to be delivering stuff, so the throughput isn't going to be an issue at the moment. That's not lined up, is it? No, that isn't. Wow. I think that tree there will need to go. So I don't mind clipping into the top of the station here, just a little bit, merging it in as part of it. That's it for me. Happy building. Glad I found out about the mod. Cool, cool. Sure to follow its progress and pop in and say hello. That's awesome. Thank you for stopping by, and I'm glad you're looking forward to using the mod and giving it a go. Hope you have a great weekend. Have good times with once your PC gets stronger? Yes, it does help. Okay, so that's the generous spacing. So I can actually move that forward to there so that pulls in tighter to the left. Between the lines. Is it there? Okay, so
incoming Pioneer reinforcements.
Dippy!
DPVR is leading a force of
Raid from
9 viewers.
DPVR.
Thanks for the raid, DPVR, and welcome everyone to the channel.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for the raid, Dippy. I did, well, you know I was popping in and visiting you, but Dippy is also playing Satisfactory in VR. Me raid, yay! Welcome, Dippy. And welcome everyone to some more Satisfactory in VR. We are playing with trains tonight and also sorting mechanisms. No nuclear power or uranium in this build yet. So what we are doing is we have a little train station here we're building that's going to dump a bunch of stuff. And we're working on logistics where all the stuff will flow along these conveyors here. And then it will come up and circle round through an auto sorting system to sort into all these containers.
So we have actually started to set up some, and we've done a practice run with just some bits and pieces. So now we are setting it up so the train, when it dumps stuff, will at least make it look cool. Whether it's efficient or not is another thing. Droove Dave 8125. Whoa, Satisfactory in VR. It is actually indeed Satisfactory in VR, and it is an excellent way to play Satisfactory. In fact, well, I'm biased, but I think it's the only way to play in Satisfactory. And it is a gorgeous world to inhabit in VR. The developers of Coffee Stain Studios have done a fantastic job and put an amount of detail in here that you really don't see all of it. I mean, it does look great on a flat screen, but you notice a lot of little details in VR that you don't necessarily see on a flat screen. Okay, so we need to get all our products from the train and have 4 lines come down here, so we can drop the 4 lines down there and send them along there. Now, I'm not going to do 1 cart per belt, because a couple of reasons. First, it will just mean that not all the belts will be filled. And the other thing is, a lot of the trains delivering stuff might only be delivering stuff in the first 2 carts. So I think I'm going to have the first and the third merge and split to the first and the second belt, and then the second and the fourth merge and split to the third and fourth belt. That's the plan. I don't know how to do that. All I know is there are going to be conveyor belts coming this way that we need to put all the stuff on. How was your stream, Dippy? Did you accomplish what you set out to do? I might have sent a couple of people your way, Dippy. There was someone else that was looking for some Satisfactory VR Linux advice. Always have a plan, even if it's incorrect. Absolutely. And if you don't have even if your plan is wrong, you've got to build something, and if it's wrong, you can always rebuild it later. But
Incoming
you usually
propaganda
learn something
broadcast
from it.
detected. Please seek shelter.
Even if the plan is wrong, you usually learn something from it. And this might actually work well because internally, belts 1 and 2 merge together and belts 3 and 4 merge together before sorting. Oops, oh, it did line up. So if I do 1 and 3 at the top and 2 and 4 at the top, it should maybe, hopefully, even things out a bit. It's just Mystic, too many belts. Built more kilometers of belts today, surely that's productive? No, it's got to be trains, Dippy. No, but not belts like that. Yes, I could have done this with less
just
belts.
hit a 5-stream watch streak. That's impressive dedication.
5-stream watch streak is impressive dedication, Dippy. Russ today was first and had a streak of 20, by the way. Got the same message. Okay, so we kind of need to split and then re-merge if we want to keep these efficient. We can't merge first and then split. And yes, I think it would have been hell to do this logistics underneath the station, so putting it on top was a great idea. Ada doesn't compare. No, Ada just likes your participation. So how am I going to do this? I think it would be easier if I have one of these goes to the right. Oh, come on. And one to the left. Now we need a splitter between these two. Probably should have put the splitters down and then the lifts afterwards. Yes, genius move, building the lifts first. And I can't remember if I rebuilt this lifts or not. So I'm going to rebuild them again. There's nothing worse than having a lift that looks like it's connected when it's not. So we now merge Probably easier to merge it over here, so we've got a bit more room to do whatever we need to do before that. So now if we do another merger, I think I'm going to have to go vertical here, otherwise this is going to conflict with that belt. So why don't I just stick it on top? Okay, it's going to come from that output.
Look lively. It's time to do those
Oh,
stretches
there's an
and
ad break snuck
hydrate.
up on me. Okay, I'm going to take a short break. Ada's telling me to do have a hydrate break and a rest, so we will be back in a couple of minutes. This time I'll actually mute my microphone.
It's just underscore mystic just followed you. Thanks for the follow. It's just underscore mystic, and welcome to the channel.
Okay, we're back. It's just Mystic. Thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, there is a native Satisfactory server for Linux. It's easy to set up, works fine. I think there's some pretty good wiki pages that tell you how to set it all up. Okay, so we are doing some, it's not really load balancing, it's load spreading. So the output of the load gets spread out over different belts. That's basically what we're doing. So we have 4 belts going off to the storage, and we have 4 train carts. But basically we're taking cart 1 and 3, and we're mixing them and merging them onto belts 1 and 2. And then carts 2 and 4 will mix and then merge onto belts 3 and 4, which will give share the load of things that arrive for the storage once they arrive in the central storage. So I need this one to come out of here. This one will need to have a lift a bit earlier on, so he will need now there is unfortunately a bug that if I attach the lift to this as the starting point and then do this to attach it, it will look like it's built correctly, but it won't actually attach to that point. It won't actually let any materials pass through. It is a bug. So if people are looking for bugs and saying there aren't any, that is one. Although, if you have a conveyor belt connected, then that should work because there is an actual belt there. So that should work. Although, I think it'll look prettier if I come the other way around. That's fairly neat. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, we've got a bit of space used on top of the station here. We'll have to put some kind of fancy lid on it all, but that, I think, is a pretty decent and neat merge. Now, the other one's going to be a little trickier because the outputs need to come out this way, but I think we can do a similar sort of thing. Probably easier for that one to attach to the high point and have the bottom one just come in here. You don't have to rebuild the belts here, but I prefer them to actually go into the lifts rather than kind of snap on the end and kind of throw the stuff in. So this one, kind of similar, I think. This would be easier to go up here. Give me the conveyor belt, please. Yeah, okay, I do want it to come a little further this way. And again, I'll rebuild this so that it actually looks like it's going inside the lift. Maybe this one was easy to go in the lift. Didn't actually think about the bottom one, did I? Actually, that might need to come out. I mean, it says it's going to fit. Yeah, the other one's out, so I'm going to bring that out. So it is lined out with the other one. And then this feeds into there, and I need another rise here. Yeah, thought that needed to come out a little bit further. too much further. Okay, Mark IV lifts. Let's just go around and make sure all our lifts are Mark IV, because it's not really obvious if they're Mark III or 4, given that we use them like this. We don't want any bottlenecks, and they all should be 4. Yes, they are. Okay, so now theoretically, if we dump something in car number 1 here, it should go down belts 1 and 3. Sorry, 1 and 2, yes. So what I meant... Oh, no, I messed up. They were supposed to be alternating. Because inside, 1 and 2 get merged together and 3 and 4 gets to merge together. So here, we actually want 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. This is why we test. We need it to be high over here, and we need it to be able to turn into there. So it needs to be positioned there. VR on Satisfactory, OMFG, you're the enemy of the motion sickness. Respect. There is no motion sickness here, my friend. That said, I have been playing VR a long time, so I have pretty good VR legs, but there is very little in Satisfactory and VR that actually causes motion sickness. So things that do cause motion sickness, low frame rates. Okay, so this game can give you a low frame rate if you don't have a particularly great setup. It does require a pretty beefy computer. But I have a nice smooth frame rate. I think it was there and I need to go there. Other things that can cause motion sickness are forced movement. So if you are forced to move your perspective when you haven't done anything in the controls, like movie cutscenes and things like that, that causes motion sickness. But here, every time I move, it's because I've done something. I've pushed forward on the stick, I've hit turn, I've physically turned. Even hypertubes, you step into a hypertube, you're in constant motion through the hypertube. So it is predictable motion that you have chosen to do, and therefore no motion sickness. Yeah, if your graphics card sucks, then you have a low frame rate and you get motion sickness. Okay, so now this one needs to come to here. And when you fire a jetpack, you know, it's you in control that are firing the jetpack, and it responds in a way you expect. It's like very natural motion. You know, jetpack goes zoom, you expect it to go zoom. And so your brain goes, yeah, that's sensible, that makes sense. You have a good computer, but you have a mega factory, and I don't like DLSS, so I get around 50 FPS. Fair enough. DLSS is kind of required. Like, I'm on a 5080, but I'm using DLSS in performance mode. But there's a little bit of artifacting, but on the whole, you don't really notice it, especially with DLSS 4 and 4.5. DLSS 3 was a bit rubbish, quite blurry and blah, but DLSS 4 is magic, and DLSS 4.5 is also magic, but it's a little bit heavier on the frames hit. Mega Factory, I have tested with Big Booty Tom's save, and he's got basically an entire playthrough all in the Rocky Desert in a really super dense factory layout that is just machines everywhere, and I can still get about 45 frames a second. So with in-headset motion smoothing. That will double it to 90 frames a second, which is quite playable. So because I'm streaming, I try and target 60 frames a second, which in the headset I have up to 120 frames a second. So it's nice and smooth for me, and the frame gets 60 frames a second. It's not perfectly smooth. There are definitely dips. Satisfactory in general does dip in the frame rate here and there. But overall, it is a pretty smooth experience. And I started developing the mod when I had a 2080, and it was playable. Wasn't perfect, wasn't the smoothest, but it was perfect. It was enough frames a second that I could play on settings that, while not the prettiest, I had a lot of fun with it. If I drop 50 of that in there, it's going to go by too fast. Let's drop 200 of this in. So now this should go down belts 1 and 3. Yes, okay. Let's try platform 2, which should drop down 2 and 4. So let's get some more. Doesn't really matter what we grab. Stuff that has big stacks would be good. So let's drop some quick wire in here. That should go down 2 and 4. And let's say we've dropped some normal wire in this one. That should go down 1 and 3. There we go. And that should all flood across into the elevator mall. For the 5090, to be honest, didn't use it with DLSS 4.5 and I used it with DLS quality. Maybe I should try it. Yeah, I'm DLS performance with DLS 4.0 seems to be the sweet spot. If you're using 4.5, the M preset, I mean, L preset looks better, but it's a pretty large performance hit. But with a 5090, it might be okay. So this should actually, we've got windows here, so we should see the products go around. So we have quick wire on both the top and the bottom, which is good. And now I'm starting to see wire come through on both the top and the bottom. So it looks like our mix and balance setup is working as intended. Hurrah! Doesn't that look cool? Okay, yeah, putting the logistics up the top, definitely a good idea. Having a waterfall of products come down, very cool. I haven't actually tested the 4th one here, so what are we going to dump in here? Yeah, let's take some concrete out. I'm actually low on concrete. Be at the top. Oops, missed. But the game itself does have some game engine limits, so I'm playing on ultra settings, and even if I drop to medium, the frame rate is fairly similar. So it's not graphics card capped or CPU capped, at least on a good system. There seems to be some game engine frame time limit, but resolution does have a big impact. So doing higher res or lower res, changing your DLSS between quality and performance, that can make a big difference to the overall frames per second. So yeah, I'm doing about 2400p res on a Quest 3, which is high resolution on virtual desktop, and I'm getting a reasonably smooth 60 frames a second scaled up to 120. Cool. I think our train station is ready to receive random deposits of goods. And I'll see how quickly I can get it to bottleneck and overflow and die. I'll leave the cables off for now because I'm going to come back later and, I mean, like, the tree branches aren't great. They're a little concerning, but I do want to keep the tree if I can. I could also move the waterfall this way a bit. It doesn't have to be exactly lined up there, so I could move everything down and avoid the tree. I might do that later on. But tonight we're doing with functional, not pretty. So next time we'll do pretty, or I might do pretty in between. Automated or alien power matrix and used it with on a maximum efficiency with 10 of those alien power machines. After that, there was no reason to play it. Really don't want to play it from the beginning. Have you only played through it once? I've played through Satisfactory many times, and this time I'm basically setting my own rules, custom rules on play guidelines and restrictions. Like this time I'm building on a different part of the map. So in past playthroughs, so this is the grassy fields here, I've built up this way. I've started in the grassy and I've gone here. I've started in the rocky desert and I've built across. I've started in the dune desert. I've done the northern forest. But I've never really done much over this side. So in this playthrough, my home base is here. My elevator is there. I'm doing factories all around the circumference of the blue crater. I'm doing setting up a computer factory up there. So different build locations, and I'm also using different recipes. I'm also not doing any fuel power. We'll see how well that works out. So we're entirely coal power at the moment. We're only on phase 3. But the intent is, if possible, to eke out coal power all the way to nuclear, and then build a nuclear station, because I've never built a nuclear station before. So that'll be a new first for this playthrough. I probably don't want that. I may actually need to lift this rail up. And really, I'm not going to do much of this tonight because it is late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick and dirty train connection. And we will make it tidier later on. Oh, this is going to be really dirty. Oh, yeah. Oh. I'll definitely redo that later. Oops, don't get run over. Version 1.1 save had 500 hours. I don't think it's too much. It really consumes time a lot. It does absolutely. This is my 1.0 save. I was busy doing other stuff when 1.0 came along, namely working on the mod, because I created this mod. And I did a lot of continuing past saves, but I never finished phase 5, and this is my start from the beginning, 1.0, all the way through to the end, completely in VR playthrough. So I'm taking my time, doing a whole lot of different creative decisions. So what we need here is... I don't know what happened to the nuclear hog. Why can't I put it there? Am I? Ah, no, I do have computers. Give me computers. Let me put stop up here. I haven't automated computers yet. Oh, look, that's missing too. That would help. No. This will all be redone, this approach here and all the signaling. I will redo all of that. Why is that? Okay, that's like that. White AMSOS, sorry, I couldn't catch it. Which mod? So this is the UEVR enhancements mod for Satisfactory, which gives you a full VR interface. If you're watching on YouTube, if you look in the video description, there's a link to the mod there, Ostenblood. Personal challenge was to only use conveyors locally and build smaller facility in every single map region, while transporting everything between regions with trains, trucks and nodes. Yes, I've done a no trains playthrough before. That one was challenging. How is my disassemble time is the same as normal, Hibiki Ruga? I haven't modified it. So yes, in the description there is a link to the mod. and there's also a video on how to install and set it up. There's a couple of moving parts. It uses an external app called UEVR to activate the VR mode in Unreal Engine. And then there's an in-game mod that adds all the custom VR controls and menus and custom user interface and everything else like that. Yes, I did the mod. Thank you, thank you. That's why I'm only playing the game now, is I'll be busy working on the mod. Okay, so that's going to block that bit. Probably should have done 2 signals after rather than 1 before. Nope, nope, nope. That way the trains can come down here and they can choose whether they go ahead and split. Time when you instigate this disassemble in a complete section is twice as fast. Not really. That's... Ruger thinks my disassemble time is faster than his disassemble time. So I'm just holding down the button. I think that's pretty standard time. Okay, we have a station. It is ready to receive junk. I left a train there. We should be able to call the train remotely. Home delivery. It's going to pick up from Fix It Co. And it's going to deliver to Gristleham, because I haven't renamed this station yet. So we are going to load everything, because I can't remember all the items. Can I just say everything? If I leave it blank, does that load everything? Unload nothing. It can hang out there, although I don't want to hang out this time, so it can go quickly. I'm hoping that loads everything and I don't have to list the items. Then it comes to Gristleham on its next stop and it will unload. I thought there was an everything option here. It will load none and it will do that. Okay, that theoretically... I might need to specify the items. I also need to make sure that the platforms are set to the right setting, which I may not have done on the other train station. Okay, this should be unload. And which implies that the default is load, so the other station should be fine. Okay. Home delivery. Turn on self-driving. So he's parked over there. So with a bit of luck, he will pick up a load and in 15 seconds he will go for a drive. Now there's not a shortcut at the moment, so he's going to go all the way up here around and he's going to come back down here to the station. Right, he's on his way to Gristleham, which is here. Let's see what happens. Not all of it is C++, awesome, but most of it is blueprints. There are bits of C++ for efficiency and low-level stuff and for some hooks. But a lot of the mod logic is blueprints, and I actually was new to Unreal Engine development, so I was learning a lot on the go as well. What is the best VR rig currently available? The problem is all the VR headsets have their own pros and cons. I like the Big Screen Beyond 2 in that it's just goggles, but it's only 90 FPS and you need to also get tracking stations, controllers, separate sound solutions, so it's a bit fiddly to set up. There is a whole pile of new headsets that are coming out in the next year or two. If you go to the CES news, there's a Megane glasses that I think are already out. or coming out soon. There's a lot of different ones. But yeah, I can't afford any of those. So I have a Quest 3 and I'm waiting for a Steam Frame. Steam Frame is the new one coming out by Valve and it's supposed to be in the next few months. Now, the Steam Frame is a medium range headset. So it's actually a side grade from the Quest 3. It's fairly similar hardware, but it has some big pluses. First, it has eye tracking, which should not only give you better game experiences, but will open up foveated streaming and for games that supported foveated rendering, which will help performance a lot. It's also runs SteamOS. You'll be able to run games natively on it. You'll be able to run ports of Android games, I would say. But it's also an open platform, and Valve aren't in it to make a metaverse or gather marketing data or any of the other crap that Meta is doing. They just want you to buy games off Steam, and they want you to play all your games on a Steam Frame, not just VR games. And so their approach and their general philosophy is much nicer than Meta's. And so I'm really excited to get a Steam Frame. Where is that train? Oh, here it comes. We'll need to make a couple of cross routes to make the travel route a bit shorter for some trains. I also need to put a lot more signals in. So yeah, this one's only got 2 carriages. It's a short train. And this is just pretty much picking up the leftovers from my basics factory. So plates, rods, quick wire, that kind of stuff. So we should get some stuff coming through here, some stuff coming through there. And by the end of it, it should have stuff on all 4 belts. That's assuming it picked up anything. Well, I didn't hang around at all. Yeah, we got stuff. Now it is going to come through stack at a time, so we are going to see different products coming through. So at the moment we've got, looks like copper plates and iron sheets coming through. Now what happens ahead is that these 2 belts will get merged together and these 2 belts will get merged together. So they will actually mix, and then we'll see it come through the sorting system. Actually, we won't, because it's going to get sorted further that way. Let me just get some more fuel. Okay, so they're coming through on both belts, and you can see there's a mix of both items on both belts. And eventually they will get to where their destination is. Wow, did I really put them this far across? Okay, I think we've only got... Yes, okay. Plates already stopped off. Now we're getting a whole pile of other stuff coming through. And now the quick wire is flooding it. I think I'm seeing some rotors and frames go through there as well. I need to build a station to deliver cement. Okay, so now we've got some rods coming in. We've got some plates coming in. Those might have been the ones we used in test. I don't know if any more of those have come in yet. I think that's more wire than I dropped in the test sample. We've got some cable coming in. More quick wire coming in. AI limiters. Actually, those are probably the ones I did from the first test. Excuse me. And we've got some frames over here. So yes, that's definitely some more frames than I had in the test. And that's all we've got set up for sorting at the moment. Up here comes more frames and more wire. More copper sheets. So obviously the stacks of... Oh, because the stacks of stuff would have been mirrored what's in the onboarding, so there actually would have been a mishmash of different stuff. Now, this is a backlog of all the stuff that's stored for this whole stream, so there's several hours worth of backed up stuff coming through, so normally this train wouldn't be delivering quite so much material in a single run. But I haven't connected up the sinks to the overflow yet, so I will need to do that sooner rather than later, because otherwise the whole thing is going to gum up. I'm actually more excited for playing games on an ARM-based PC. It might be a starting point for Mac gaming, in my opinion, if Valve makes it open source. It is definitely an interesting platform, being ARM-based. That'll make it easier to port Quest stuff across, but it will be very interesting to see if we start getting like native ARM games for other Steam games supported on it. It's definitely an interesting hardware. Okay, it is 11:30 p.m. here, which is pretty late and I'm pretty tired, so I'm going to wrap it up here. This is what I wanted to achieve tonight. I wanted to achieve having a train, pick up a pile of crap, deliver it here, and have it sorted. So, mission accomplished. There's still some tidying up to do. That needs to be made pretty, the whole stations. And I still need to wire up the other station, which I don't need for a while because there's not a lot of products being delivered at this stage. But the core infrastructure of having stuff delivered to the Space Elevator Mall is in place and working. Hurrah! Hey Merc, how's it going? I still haven't seen the nuclear hogs, so I think he might, one of the walls might still be on his spawn point or something, and it's stopping him from getting in and out. Which is fine by me. I don't need a nuclear hog pelting me from a range while I'm trying to build a station. Thank you, Futureproof. Started to follow you on GitHub. I'm really interested in the mod use and cool. The GitHub, yeah, actually the GitHub updates trickle through. Like, I am definitely slowed down on the mod development. It is a pretty mature mod at this stage. So I've just released 1.0.3, which I've been working on for a couple of months. Just basically had a few extra features in it that I've been iterating over. But I have been doing sort of semi-regular updates on GitHub there with all the different changes. I don't know what features I'll be working on next for the mod. So Git updates will probably slow down for a bit. But yeah, that is the place to watch. I'm also, I also post updates on the Flat2VR Discord. So if you go to flat2vr.com, it will redirect you to a Discord channel where there's a lot of different modders have different stuff on there. And there is an SF join channel on there. And if you join that channel, there's a button to say join. It'll give you access to a bunch of other Discord channels specifically for this mod. And when I have experimental updates, I will post updates there so people can try out the new features before they hit the main version. Where's the other doggos hiding? What are they doing over there? Ah, Scratchers, Cots and Novelisks. They're not watching the train line, they're staring off at the tractor. I still have 3 tamed ones that are up the hill, but I still need to get home somehow. I am a developer. My day job, I'm a web application developer, although I do DevOps and full stack stuff, so I do a lot of sysadmin stuff as well. I don't tend to post a lot of that on GitHub because that's all my day job work stuff, so it's all behind work repos and stuff like that. So game development and modding is something I'm still pretty new to. I am interested in doing other mods for other games, but free time is a bit short at the moment. But there's a couple of games I would love to start doing some modding work from. There's a new game out called Star Rupture, which has some similarities to Satisfactory in that it's kind of an automation game set on a beautiful alien planet. It has a bit more combat and base defense elements in it as well, but I think it would be amazing in VR, and it would be similar to Satisfactory, I think, in the way you go about implementing controls in an interface. So I'm interested in looking at modding that, but it's just an interest at the moment. I don't really have the time yet to start digging into it. I still have a massive backlog of biomass because I forgot that I summer slooped several of the biomass producing things, including alien proteins. So I was getting 3,000 biomass a minute, which has flooded my recycling system. But we'll slowly work through it. Okay, anyway, thank you very much for everyone who's been hanging out and watching and asking questions. I normally stream this time, but on Fridays. So this time on a Saturday is kind of a sometimes stream. So it depends how I'm feeling, what I'm up to. In this particular case, I had a long stream yesterday where I was doing lots of train work, but I didn't finish doing the logistics. So I really wanted to have a stream tonight to sort of continue that train work and get the initial logistics up for getting factory deliveries, which we have done. So hooray. So next stream will probably be next Friday, although we do have a public holiday on Monday, but I think not so likely that I will do a stream then. But who knows? We'll see how we go. So thank you very much. For those on Twitch, I will now see if there's someone to raid out to. Other than that, thank you YouTube people as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next stream. Now for Twitch people, just let me... Actually, I've got to save the game. I always forget to save the game. Oh... Yes. Did I spell it right? Yes. Right, game has been saved. I can now exit. Okay, thank you, and I will now see who to read out to for the Twitch people. Actually, can I do it from this dashboard? Actually, no, I'll switch to PC. It'll be safer. Let me take my headset off. Essenber. Actually, it's Essenber. Sounds like December. So he's often a Satisfactory streamer at this time, so if he's playing, then that's possible.